Howdy. As a computational neuroscientist, I have to read a lot of really dense, long books and papers and all sorts of other resources. Uh, Here's an example of one, uh, Augmenting Human Intellect by Doug Engelbart. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's one of my favorites. It's all about how computers could augment human intellect, and it was written a long time ago, sort of at the beginning of computers, 1962. Uh, But issue I run into when I'm reading these books is that a lot of times I'm looking for a particular piece of information, and it's not very easy to sort of zoom in on the book and find just the piece of information I'm looking for, and then the higher level context from the rest of the book so I can understand it without reading through the whole thing. And so this issue of having sort of a more granular understanding something and a higher level of understanding something at the same time is something that I think Google Maps handles really well. So if you go to Google Maps here, you can see the zoomed out view. Here's the whole world. I can go all the way around it in a couple of seconds. And as I zoom in, I'm not just zooming in on sort of the image of the world. I'm also zooming in conceptually. I'm getting more and more detail as I zoom in more and more. So I can pick a particular point and I can say, I like the train museum in Sacramento. So I can say, well, I know California is over here. And then as I zoom in, I see Sacramento pop up. And then as I zoom in, I see, oh, there's a train museum right there. So I was able to sort of zoom in and find exactly what I was looking for because I could see the appropriate level of detail at every level. So I wondered what this would look like for books, and I built a little demo of something using AI, particularly large language models, that allows you to zoom in on books the same way you can zoom in on maps. And it's in very rough shape currently. This is just a JSON. But essentially, what I've done here is the large language model chops up a book into many, many, many small chunks, and then it creates summaries of sort of two to four of those chunks. And it keeps doing this over and over again. And eventually, it's creating summaries of the summaries. And then it's creating summaries of the summaries of the summaries. And what this lets you do is see the book at a very high level and then sort of zoom in on exactly what you're interested in about it. Or maybe there's a couple points that you're interested in. And so here's the same book I was looking at before, just in my system. Uh, these are all sorts of summaries of summaries of summaries. Um, Sort of the first section of the book, the middle section, and the last section of the book. So let's say I'm interested in this last section of the book, and they're talking about it's just a sentence here, but the ultimate goal is to create a fundamental and adaptable problem solving toolkit known as a computer augmentation system. Well, that's kind of interesting. So let me zoom in here and see what they're talking about. And so I can zoom in here and I can see here's a couple more chunks of text. Uh, they're talking about the computer augmentation system, but it looks like this is more introductory. And then here's sort of an ending part. So this looks like where I want to be if I want to learn more about this computer augmentation system. And I can keep zooming in on whatever is interesting to me. And then I can even sort of zoom back out if I want to and dive into something else. But it's a fundamentally different way of reading a book where I'm not aiming for comprehension, I'm aiming to find a particular piece of information quickly. And so I'd like to build out a nice user interface or a web app around this. And I probably will if folks are interested in it enough. But this is an idea that's been rolling around in the back of my head for a while. And I just wanted to make a quick video showing it off.